There's a new event that is on the website, but we haven't announced it yet, called a Scale-a-thon. And we're doing one for AI in January, one for climate tech in April, and Steve's going to be the keynote speaker at that one. We're doing defense tech in July. Scale-a-thon's kind of cool. I'll steal the thunder from the end slides a little bit here. Scale-a-thon is like a hackathon in that it's a 48-hour Friday night to Sunday night kind of thing, but instead of writing code, it's going to be diversely skilled teams coming together. So like a domain expert, technology expert, a go-to-market expert, a finance expert. So teams of 3 to 6 putting together a business plan, but a real quality business plan. The goal is not to tear things up at the end of the weekend, throw them in the trash, as with a hackathon. AI hackathon is frankly not a big deal anymore, since we now have vibe coding. 3 years ago, it was really, really cool, but now it's like, oh, anybody could do this on the weekend. So it's to design a sustainable business and pitching real judges at the end. But we hope that real companies come out of this effort. So we're going to be doing the Climate Tech Scale-a-thon. The dates are on April 24th to 26th. It's the weekend of Climate Week, of course. So, without further ado, how many of you are here for the very first time for a Catapult showcase night? Okay, so most of you have been here before. How many of you are first time in the building altogether? Just a few of you. Okay, great. And by the way, shout out to William over here, who's running our AV tonight. And if you ever need coverage in an event like this, that's what he does for a living. For those of you who have seen... Oh, okay. Can we do it at the end? Mind if we do it right now? Okay, yeah, if you don't mind, I just don't want to break my flow here. All right, sorry about that. Anyhow, obviously you're here to learn about the companies currently in the Catapult and the Catapult program itself, but we also recently launched the pre-Catapult, sort of the farm team for Catapult companies, and we just had the first 5 companies come through. We got another 5 scheduled coming through here, and so 4 of those 5 are going to be presenting tonight, and so you're going to see the companies before they come into Catapult, but after we have blessed their passage on through to Catapult. So I'm very excited about those because all 4 are really, really cool companies. And if you don't know about venture mechanics in general, you know, we're a startup launchpad. What does that mean? We run over 100 events a year. There was 200. We've cut that way, way back. There is actually an incredible overabundance of startups right now, especially AI startups. Thank you, Microsoft layoffs. And these people were paid well and have pocket money, and it's easy to start an AI company. And we're focusing more now on the Catapult companies and getting them through their funding cycle. And so there's less, and you'll learn about the other events at the end of the day today. But if you haven't been to any of them, but there's fewer of them. They're more feature packed, and also partnering with other organizations a lot more. So just trying to create more value out of the events. But the Catapult Accelerator is, of course, at the end of the day, the main thing we focus on here. So there's a lot of educational programs and events that are sort of a feeder, and eventually we winnow down to this being the most selective program in the country for an accelerator, to the ones that we believe are eminently fundable, and we work really hard on them for at least 6 months before they are even going out with a term sheet. So it's a very different model than the 90-day, I'll go to this accelerator and then this accelerator and then this accelerator. So they're going to stay here typically 2 years, go through a couple of funding rounds, and when they have a priced round, that's when they're hiring a VP of HR, they don't need us anymore. But until then, both they and their VCs are working out of their home offices. And so we're still here. So, all right. Other direction. Okay, just lay of the land here today. So we're in the Leonardo room. We're going to have 2 rounds of pitches. First, the companies that are currently in Catapult. This current crew here has been they joined from October through February. And are all but one are in fundraising mode here. And then the next 4 companies are pre-Catapult. And then after closing remarks, investors are welcome to stay in the Boeing room over there in the corner. Each of the 4 of these 5 companies here in the first group are going to have a table. The one that's missing is Zesty, and that's because Divya had a last-minute emergency. In fact, I'm going to do her pitch tonight without rehearsal. But Divya couldn't be here tonight. However, all 5 of these companies are having deep dive due diligence sessions on the 18th and 19th, and there'll be a QR code, and you can sign up for that, so you can talk to her then. But the other 4 companies are going to have a table over there where dinner will be available for investors to just socialize with the founders. So rather than a deep dive due diligence thing, it's really most important thing we have found over time is, over the last couple of years, is investors really want to get to know the founders, especially pre-seed stage when there's not a lot of metrics to go on yet. There's still a lot of unknowns, and it's all about how do you feel about the founder. So we want to create that opportunity for them to just hang out together. So just investors and the founders of those 4 companies. Yeah, okay. And then, these come later. Okay. We're going to start with the first company up here. Any questions before we go on into the presentations? No? Okay, great. Joshua of Real Engineers, Joshua Ahmed, joined in October. So you're the longest tenured startup right now.
Hello, everybody. My name is Joshua Ahmed. I'm the founder of Real Engineers. And what Real Engineers is effectively Google Translate between hardware engineers and recruiters. And this all started in my time at Lockheed Martin. My job was to put all these complex avionics together. And to do that, I had to build a team of software engineers and RF engineers and electricals. And during that time, I found out when it came to my software engineers, there's so many ways to vet them before the interview. There's, lead code tests, there's all sorts of tests, and ultimately their GitHub, I can go see their code. When it came to my hardware engineers and everybody else, there was nothing equivalent to do that. Which is a big deal because if you just look at college degrees given in the engineering school, 2/3 of all engineers are actually represented somewhere in the hardware umbrella, mechanical, electricals, and those, and the rest are actually software engineers. So this is a huge lot of people who have never felt something like a lead code to demonstrate their skills. And you would think AI is making a lot of things better, but this is one of those places that is actually not. So there's a lot of ways it's making it worse, but 2 of my favorite is that it's turning into a spy versus spy game, whereas one AI trying to convince the other one that it's a real human and they're a good fit for the job, and then the AI is trying to figure out that you're an AI. And fundamentally, what I realized is that the more candidates optimize their resumes through AI, the more like each other they look. So it becomes like a resume convergence where people look just like each other because AIs are just optimizing for the job. And a good example of this is something that happened in real life even before AI was a thing to me at Lockheed Martin. So I wrote this job description, gave it to my internal tech recruiting team, and I said, hey, was this for job for the F-35 Joint Fighter? So at the LinkedIn title level, he seemed like a perfect fit, had a PhD in aerospace engineering. He applied for the job. One of the keywords we used was waveforms. He used the word waveform as well, seemed like a perfect fit as well. Then we got to the interview and we realized he meant waveform in the aerodynamic sense and we meant waveform in the electromagnetic sense. It's actually not a fit at all. And we were like, how did you make it this far? And so fundamentally, one of the problems is like, okay, the data's missing, but also there needs to be people who need to understand that data, especially early on in the hiring process. So what the problem really is that recruiters are not engineers. Almost every other thing that comes away from that is a pain point from that fundamental problem, is that recruiters aren't engineers. So all the burden is on the engineers to explain themselves, quote unquote, perfectly, so recruiters can understand it, and when they don't, they rely on surface level information to make sense of it, just like job titles and things like that. So how do we solve this problem? Well, we let both sides speak the language that they're good at. How do engineers normally speak? Through their actual work, right? If you're a mechanical engineer, it's your CAD drawing, it's your circuit diagrams, whatever it is. So there's no extra thing you need to learn to make a real engineer's profile. It's your work that speaks for itself. Second, we explain that to the recruiter in simple terms so they don't have to be experts. Our goal is that a recruiter who's never hired a mechanical engineer before on day one can use this tool, can feel like they've been hiring mechanical engineers for 5 years because they would know all the nuances that it takes to learn all that information. This is my favorite slide because it's a practical example of what happened with one of our first recruiters using this tool and one of our first engineers using this tool. The job asked for proficiency in single board computers. And the recruiter was looking at their resume and they didn't even notice when the engineer said, I'm proficient with Raspberry Pis. And I asked the recruiter, I was like, hey, it's right there. It's like, why is he talking about Raspberries or Pis? I'm not sure what's going on. So we pumped him to Real Engineers and he uploaded his actual Raspberry Pi circuit diagram that he connected to the robot. And Real Engineers came out with one sentence for the recruiter and said, Raspberry Pi is a brand of single board computers, so it actually applies to the job perfectly. And the recruiter just looked and said, how many people have I knocked out with this little nuance of information that I never even knew to even look at? I didn't even know what question to ask. And how many people did I knock out because of that? So yeah, so fundamentally that's it. The engineers just talk the way they want to talk, and recruiters get to be like expert recruiters who quite close have an engineering degree when they make hiring decisions. The value of this market is really huge, especially right now with our target being third-party recruiters. It's around $12 billion sum. Our go-to-market strategy right now is starting with early career engineers and third-party recruiters. And we really believe this the product has a chance to do product-led growth. And so every engineer that signs up, they usually didn't work on a project themselves. So almost all my new engineers are already coming from their friends of friends of friends. So we're trying to make sure that flywheel is very, very good. And next, our flagship feature, which is they share their dynamic profile, which is a Real Engineers link, just like a GitHub link or LinkedIn link, with a recruiter. And if a recruiter can get value within it in 10 seconds, they get to share with other engineers. So it brings in other recruiters by the very act of engineers using it. And so we need to get that flywheel down perfectly. And that's why we have partnered with 6 design partners so far, some representing our potential customers like the Judge Group and Higher Rising that hire mechanical engineers and our target audiences perfectly to get that loop perfectly into a well-oiled machine. Our best hypothesis right now, there will be a fair deal when engineers sign up to pay $150 per seat per recruiter while engineer stays free. As far as the competition goes, the closest competition I found is a company called GitRoll, and they do something similar, but just for software engineers. They look at your GitHub and they try to make sense of it for the recruiter and give you a grade. And we differentiate ourselves, obviously, with not just our niche, but we look a little deeper than just giving you a grade on how good your CAD drawing is. Right now, we are in the process of finalizing the loop. So we launched our first version in May, and we're like on our 4th or 5th version already, and we're trying to make sure on this version that that loop I showed you is perfectly and well-oiled. So a lot of you are probably wondering, what about classified information? What about NDAs? Well, my answer to that is, if you focus on the math, if you focus on the science, there's actually a lot more you can say about the technical work you did than you would ever think. And that comes from my experience at, getting interviewed at SpaceX or Blue Origin, where you have to talk about your work and you can't get around it. And so I found great ways to get around that. And yeah, right now, this is what my team looks like. I have experts helping me out. Our funding roadmap, it looks, right now we're on our pre-seed round. We're raising. And then for our seed rounds, we'll be going to the real, if you remember my old saying, it used to be GitHub for hardware engineers. Well, that's still part of it. And we're going to really answer the question of, okay, you've uploaded your stuff. Why should you keep uploading your stuff? And that's going to be what's going to make this tool special, because it's going to be a great tool for recruiters, because it's going to be a great engineering tool for engineers. And that comes later on in the future. Right now, our main goal is Microsoft. They already own LinkedIn. They already own GitHub. So if they want to keep their dominance in the space and this software becomes what I think it is, they're going to want to keep their dominance. And obviously, there's a lot of other ones that want to take position in that. Yeah, that's all. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Yeah, so we are in closed beta right now, so it's invite only. So the 6 design partners, as far as recruiters goes, because that's all I can handle, and for engineers, I have about 40 engineers with around 10 to 20 waiting in the wait list.
If anybody wants the microphone, okay. Yes, we are recording this, so if you would step up to the microphone with your question, that would be great, or we can hand it out to you.
But the final thing is, the goal for Traction right now is to make sure every single one that comes in leads to another one. That's the real goal right now. Go up there. You got to go up there.
The competition right now, there's
Yeah.
only one other.
That I would, well, so we're in the same space. There's others in the same space, like resume optimizers. There's hundreds of companies that are doing that. You can just look up Facebook doing that. And then there's the robo applies, and their strategy is completely different, but I still consider them in the same space because they're trying to help you get a job, right? But their strategy is, we don't really care what the truth is. If you apply to 1,000 jobs, you're bound to get one hit, right? Versus my strategy is more around what's that little piece of information, Raspberry Pi, and that's going to get you a job. And then the other closest is GitRoll, but they're applying something close, but to software engineers only.
Okay, so basically, there's no competition.
I mean, we are still competing for the same cognitive space as those engineers.
Thank you.
So you mentioned about the Git role for software engineer, which basically scans through the actual code you write in GitHub and validate the candidate's experience. So similar to that, so more than just scanning through their resume, do you actually scan through their work? Like, I don't know how exactly the work.
That's exactly right. So that's why I put a half red on GitRoll. So what GitRoll does is to make it easy for recruiters is that they say, you're a B+ coder. And that's kind of the end of it, right? The difference in mine is a Raspberry thing. Or another example we had two people upload their CAD files.
Okay.
One guy optimized for weight and the other guy's optimized for strength,
Okay.
right? So we actually looking at like, what are the scientific concepts underlying? They're both CAD files. They might have both gotten an A+ as far as good at CAD files. But if you're optimizing for weight, you're probably way better at aerospace companies. Versus if you're optimizing for strength. So that's that level of detail that we go into that GitRoll isn't going into.
Okay, so in the hardware engineering space, basically,
Yeah.
there also it is about programming related. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, is it CAD is like a actual program?
I'm sorry, actual
the CAD
program.
file, the CAD file you are mentioning, is it like a
So
program for hardwares?
all CAD, like the example I gave, all CAD programs today have an export to PDF button because that's the final version of your thing. And so that's what we ingest.
Oh, okay.
But because of that data, I can tell what kind of CAD thing. You built a ball bearing for aircraft.
Oh, okay.
That's a very different ball bearing for
makes
cars,
sense.
right? Because you got to make sure there's enough holes in it so you optimize for weight. That level of information that you can only get by studying it,
Okay, makes sense.
we surface in seconds.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. So we're way ahead of schedule because I skipped a few things. I apologize. It's been a really crazy day here. No excuses, but actually it was great having Joshua come up first because anybody know the difference between an incubator and an accelerator? Anybody in the audience know the difference? You're shaking your head, Gary, so what's the difference between an incubator and an accelerator?
One you're learning and the other you're executing.
Sort of. So it's a spectrum, right? So on the one end of the spectrum, entrepreneur with an idea hasn't done a ton of the customer discovery yet, competition analysis, all the stuff they're going to need to do to find out that they have a viable business plan. On the other end, they've been running a viable company, and they need to accelerate and they need to hit venture scale. And so Joshua is not only half the age of the average of the other founders in the program, who are mostly in their 50s, but he came in with just an idea. And we said, that's great, we'll build a company around you. And he blasted past the slide with the management team, but those are all fractionals or mentors from our program, getting him off the ground. And he's been a phenomenal coachable entrepreneur. Those of you who've seen him before can see that it's really changing with time. And then once he launched in private beta and starting to get actual users using it, of course, another cycle of improvement on the product plan, the business plan. We have everything in between, and we're sector agnostic. With Zesty here, you'll see this is a marketplace for food products. About a third of our portfolio is consumer and CPG included. You'll see Matt talk later about his food company. Some of you have already tasted it out there, New Gem. So while obviously the preponderance here is AI companies in Bellevue, we do also deal with aerospace. We deal with hardware companies of all kinds. A lot of climate tech's our second biggest category, and consumer CPG is probably about the same size categories here. So I kind of left out a few things about Catapult program. After all the pitches, we'll go into the details of what it really means. And I know I'm looking around the room, there's a lot of mentors in the room that have been participating in this program all along the way. But the point is that it takes an awful lot to pass through the eye of the needle and get funding, especially in today's environment. And so what we try to do with the companies here is make sure they are as perfected as possible. The team is rounded out. The exit strategy is figured out. The go-to-market strategy is figured out. The ROI is already presented on this silver platter, all that analysis to investors that most accelerators leave that stuff out. You go to a Techstars and they were there 90 days, you got a demo day and you'll never see these companies again and there's nothing in there about how you're gonna get your money back. These entrepreneurs, by the time they're pitching, they're showing you what they're raising now, they're showing you what they're gonna be raising in the next round because they've done all that hard work, all that math, starting with exit strategy and working backwards. All right, so like I said, Divya Agrawal couldn't be here today, last minute, personal emergency. She is fine. But she asked me to do her pitch for her, which I have never ever done. So cut me some slack if I go over my 8 minutes. I will give this my best shot. So, Zesty. Okay, this is what got me excited about Zesty. I'm sitting there thinking, what are you talking about, custom cakes? That sounds like a really small market. This is what happened during COVID. People started going, well, I don't want to go to the supermarket to go shopping, but maybe I can find a local artisan baker who can deliver the cake to me here locally. And at that time, there were only 4 states that allowed bakers to bake at home. Since COVID, through COVID, all 50 states created licensing for that. And as you can see, the trend just kept on going. All of a sudden, this is not COVID in and then after COVID going back out. People discovered that you can get an incredible looking cake, an incredible tasting cake with incredible natural ingredients and customize it to all of your guests, some of whom are gluten-free or sugar-free or whatever it is, and that once they've tasted it, they're never gonna go back. So that was the first interesting thing, just looking that up and then realizing, oh my God, it's a $9 billion market. So the bulk of the margin in this industry is not the sheet cake at QFC. It is actually increasing number of custom cakes. This is also cupcakes and cookies and related products, but custom, premium. I did this myself for my wife's 60th birthday. I ordered on Zesty. I had this fantastic, I had 3 bids, they were all gorgeous. I just took some pictures from Pinterest, uploaded it, and got 3 bids back, and universally, every single person said, this is the most amazing cake I've ever had at a birthday party, right? It looked amazing, but it tasted amazing. And once you do that, well, what do you think is going to happen for the 65th wedding anniversary? Am I going to go back to a sheet cake? No, I'm not going to be able to. So people have discovered this. But as big as the industry is, as a $9 billion segment of baked goods, is these premium cakes and cookies and cupcakes. The funny thing is, it's still a relatively backwards industry. So you got people who went into it because they like baking, and they don't like answering the phones or building websites, and they really don't like taking customizations, very difficult. So frustrating experience, origin story for Divya. She is not a baker. She was just trying to buy a birthday cake and realized, oh my God, I'm smiling and dialing here and trying to reach bakers who are in the kitchen, and it's a very frustrating process, takes a long time. Today, 80% of these transactions are still going into the bakery and ordering in person. There are some other software players here that are just managing sort of the back end for some of the larger bakeries. And by the way, this is professional bakeries, custom, boutique bakeries as well, not just the at-home bakeries. I should make that clear. But it's not the grocery store. It's not the Baskin-Robbins. And then you've got your supermarkets, minimal customer service, minimal, we'll put your kid's name on there, but no, we're not going to tune this for your flavor profiles, or you want different frosting, or you want a picture on it, kind of thing. Well, some of them do the 3D printing on there, but or sorry, not 3D. What did you call it, Brent? The cake you had, what do they call that? Custom printing of an image. but they're not going to customize it for, oh, you've got some guests that need different things, have a nut allergy or whatever. So in general, you have a disorganized market. You got a lot of people who are looking to buy these products, a lot of people who are making them, and they have a difficult time finding each other. So their solution starts with a SaaS application for the bakers. So the bakers don't really put up very good websites, so they put up their beautiful website, order management, customization, bid management, and as you go up the scale here, you pay a higher and higher take rate. But what they're doing really is building a marketplace. So at first, it's just the minimal software is just, hey, run your bakery on this is really cool. Instead of having your customers call you, have them go to your website, your bakery on their website, and place these orders and get quotes and manage delivery and so on. It goes all the way up to, hey, they're finding customers for these bakers. And they're also doing a very, very important part, which is very hard, which is delivery. So you can't scale your bakery if you're the one driving it around to all your customers. That's time out of the kitchen. And they've managed to figure out a way in 99% of the country to get delicate cakes delivered without breaking them. You cannot hand it to a DoorDash driver who will not make it. All right, so they have specialty delivery companies that are doing this on their behalf, and that will allow the bakers to scale a lot faster. So they have B2C and B2B both, as it turns out. So the corporate side has become very, very interesting, and at the moment is momentarily at least outshadowing the consumer side and may be a source of dominant growth. We shall see. It's still early. I'll talk about that in a minute, but they have basically three ways to go to market. They do events. So like a Tupperware party, they do cake picnics. Anybody ever been to a cake picnic? It's a wild, wild thing. Go check it out on Instagram. But they did one at Gasworks Park in the summer and sold 500 tickets in 48 hours. Lots of wait list. Good revenue, actually. Actually made money at this event, but 500 people showed up to eat cake. It's pretty wild. They are allowed to bring their own, or they buy one of the cakes that they have available there. Everybody has to bring a cake, and they sit around and eat it and take a lot of Instagram pictures. 125,000 Instagram hits on that before the event in 48 hours. So it's a phenomenon. It's a new thing. So that's one way. Partnerships, this is very exciting. So Bon Appetit owns Compass Catering, which is the largest corporate caterer in the country. And they got an order for the Gates Foundation, and that turned into a weekly order. And now they are onboarding all of their bakers into their system. And that's literally the largest corporate catering company in the country now is officially partnering with Zesty to get to all their bakers to do all these beautiful custom cakes. And they're sometimes for a gala, sometimes for an employee party, sometimes for clients. You know, wealth management firms sending stuff out to their clients kind of thing. So the partnerships with corporate events and gifting is another area. And SEO in particular is a green space for them. They stand to do incredibly well with SEO because these bakers don't know how to build good websites. And of course, paid ads in the future as well. Right now they're doing mostly organic. So I think we talked about those two things here. So yeah, right now they've taken the first 325 orders, 25% repeat order rate. The cool thing on the consumer side in particular is that once they record your anniversary, your birthday, you know, your kid's graduation, blah, 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 there's going to be these repeats of those events. So building up the mailing list of when is your anniversary so we can hit you 3 weeks before. Hey, remember last year? Do better this year. You know, go on Pinterest and find the photos you like, and a baker will make something like that for you. So currently they are in Seattle. Oh, okay, great. Danny, like I said, cut me some slack. I never rehearsed this. All right. They're going to be rolling out city by city, but they can take bakers now everywhere for their SaaS platform, and then as they get a critical mass of bakers in a city, then they can turn on their marketing. So that's their national rollout model. The margins are fantastic in this. They're getting an average 18% take rate on the transactions, proverbial hockey stick growth. The customer acquisition cost has been really impressive, and especially because they're using some methods like going through corporate sales partners and SEO that are not costing them anything. This is Divya. She would be standing up here. She had 15 years in marketplaces. I think it was 10 years at Amazon, 10 or 15 years at Amazon. Ajin's her co-founder and CTO. He is in San Francisco, or he would be here. Greta, many of you know, is their fractional CMO, and Ty Wolf-Jones helped them figure out, he was the guy who launched Uber and DoorDash here in the Northwest and helped them figure out their whole delivery model, which is key. And so highly acquisitive space. There's a lot of companies like 1-800-Flowers and Etsy that are getting deeper and deeper into this. You imagine, if you're buying flowers, you're probably also buying a cake for that party, right? So lots of exit channels. Their funding round right now is the Venture Mechanics Hybrid Pre-Seed Safe, which has, they're raising to do those things that you see there, launching the first 3 additional cities, and then they'll do a seed round of to scale across to 30 cities. And that's it. I'll take your questions. How did I do? Yeah. I've heard her pitch a few times, but I've never done it in her stead. Any questions? Can you step up to the mic? Hi, Suad.
When's the next cake picnic?
The next cake picnic, I think, is going to be in Portland in October, if I remember correctly, right in the downtown Pioneer Courthouse Square, yeah. It's quite a phenomenon. I thought it was a joke when I first heard it, but apparently there's been a few of them around the country, usually put on by the bakers themselves, and it's like the Tupperware party. It's the coolest place to get it across. The other thing that was amazing, by the way, when I ordered the cake for my wife's birthday party, is that there's 25 people there, there's 25 business cards to take away, right? Like everybody who's experienced that going away. So the word of mouth marketing is literally word of mouth. Any other questions? Gio.
So what's Divya's strategy for preventing Uber or Etsy or 1-800-Flowers from taking over the market?
So Uber cannot do this. First of all, it's the baker that's making it, not the Uber driver, right? The Uber driver cannot deliver a delicate cake. They will absolutely destroy it on the way. So there are special ways in which they package it, but these drivers are specifically dealing with delicate delivery and timely delivery also. And they've never messed up a delivery. They always have a backup baker ready to go in case something happens, the Uber driver crashes, that they can rush it. 1-800-Flowers isn't in the category yet. They do the flowers. Etsy, it's like up to you to go try to find somebody on Etsy. Good luck, right? This is one marketplace, and then you can pick which bakers you want to bid on it based on the gallery of work that you can see that they have done.
Okay, so a little bit more about the delivery services. So is Zesty managing the deliveries themselves, or is this contract? Is this like local shops that are?
So it's Roadies, and I can't remember the other one, but the reason they use them is they have their own dispatch, and it's a live dispatch. And if anything goes wrong with the delivery, they immediately call Zesty. Immediately, right? So proactive. It's not even the driver. It's a dispatcher that's calling them saying, we had a problem, we had a car accident or something. But they specialize in delicate deliveries, which an Uber driver is just going to be like my son who did that for a while, and he'd be brutalizing that cake. I can't imagine what condition it would show up in. One more question? Okay, we're ahead of schedule, so we have time. You're cutting me slack for first-time pitch.
So it's a little bit interesting because it's e-commerce. So there's a network, but it's also like local, right? You're not going to order a cake from somebody.
Yes.
So how does network effects work in a situation like that?
So you have to delicately manage the number of bakers that you're onboarding with the order volume, right? You don't want to have too many bakers, they're not getting any business from you, unless they're just using the software for running their shop. But if they're looking at the marketplace aspect of it, they pay a higher take rate if they're participating in the marketplace. At the time that she turns on a city and they start investing in advertising in that city and making sure that there's good flow, they're just constantly managing how many bakers they're bringing on. The good news is there's no cost of customer acquisition on that side of the marketplace. So a lot of marketplaces, VCs don't like them because you got customer acquisition costs on both sides, but it's very, very easy, and the bakers have typically been coming to them when they hear about it from other bakers. Like Compass came to them through one of their bakers in the first place, right? So did I answer your question? Yeah? Okay. Cool. All right. I'm way over time, so I'm going to let Matt DeBoard come up here and tell you about New Gem. Very yummy New Gem. Advance with that.
Got it.
Okay.
How you guys doing? I'm Matt DeBoard. I'm the founder and CEO of New Gem Foods. And what we do is we take that and we make that. So we make edible film out of fruits and vegetables. And let me see if we got that going. Yep. And so we're a food tech company, and we developed the technology with the USDA's Agricultural Research Service. I worked with them for 4 years, and we filed the patents. And it's completely flour-free, gluten-free, 100% natural, nothing artificial. And so we developed a lot of different products. And so this product is our sandwich product, and there's some samples out there, the caprese sandwich, if you want to try it. And so I already talked about this a little bit. So we have a pretty deep IP moat. We filed 2 patents on it. We also have trade secrets. We had to develop the process to develop it, and so we built our own facility as well. Because we had to build our own facility, we've invested a lot of our own money. Got loans originally, but then we've been paying down those loans. We also invested our own money, and so we're highly committed. Because we are vertically integrated, we have a high gross margin, so we're actually very profitable. What we're trying to do is just scale the business. Everything's in place, and that's why we're raising money, is we just want to throw money on the sales fire, basically. So why do this? Well, it's 90% of Americans don't eat their daily allowance of fruits and vegetables, and it's just inconvenient. I saw a phrase that said, convenient food is not healthy, and healthy food's not convenient. And so what we're doing is we're making it really easy for you to get your fruits and vegetables. And so this wrap is equivalent to about this tomato. And so you're actually getting your fruits and vegetables from eating our wraps each day. 96 million Americans are pre-diabetic. A lot of people are starting to use the GLP-1 drugs, and that's actually modifying people's consumption behavior. I just read a statistic today. 56% of people are snacking and instead of eating a meal, they're skipping a meal. And so again, our products are allowing you can snack, but get a lot of health from it. So I always laugh at this one, but there's 110 billion sandwiches are consumed annually in the United States, and we want to take a bite out of that market. So anyway, and then you can see that the wrap alternative market is very sizable. The better for you tortillas, the cassava flour tortillas, there's cauliflower sandwich thins, there's Egg Life. They're all growing pretty well. Like Egg Life, I just found out, is a $100 million business, and so we can easily get there. So we know we've been doing this for a little while, so we know who our customers are. We've done jobs to be done interviews, we've done surveys, there's a lot of data on our Amazon customers. We know exactly who's buying our product. And you probably have family members, because about 70% of Americans have somebody in their household that is dealing with dietary challenges. And so it's either diabetes or celiac disease, or my son's allergic to all nuts. And so we have to deal with all these things. And so our customer, we know it's 25 plus females, head of household, or kind of head of household. My wife's the head of our household. So anyway, they're seeking to navigate these dietary challenges. And I always use this story. Greta likes me to tell this story, and it's that I was at a demo one time, and the mother came up and she said, my husband's diabetes, my one daughter's celiac, and my other daughter has all these allergies. And our pantry is divided up to my husband's food, my daughter's food, and my daughter two's food. And she's like, what we like about your product is we can all eat it. We can sit down, we can all have a meal. We don't have to worry about what we're eating. We know that your product is going to satisfy everybody. So I got this phrase from talking to deli managers, and it's, we're the single solution. And so if somebody comes up and they have a dietary restriction, we generally can meet that need. We've established a beachhead in retail. And the reason we're raising this money with Venture Mechanics is we just want to grow that. We're attacking the West Coast. We just want to get out there with more boots on the ground. I've been doing it myself. I don't scale. And so we want to get more people out there doing demos, teaching people about our product, educating them. I tell people that, well, I'll get to it in a second. So I already talked about this, pretty good traction, different grocery stores. We're in about 250 doors now. We want to get into 750 by the end of next year, very accomplishable. And then at the end of in 2030, we want to be in about 8,000 doors. We're already in distribution, which is a big deal, so we can get into more stores. I say this every time, you guys already know it, but a tomato tortilla is a red tortilla. It's not tomato. Our product is tomato. It's 100% plant-based. Our product is 25 calories versus 250 calories for a tortilla. I don't care what color you make it, it's not healthy. Our product is very healthy. We have a lot of different applications. We are a technology platform. So the first product I brought to market was actually to replace seaweed on sushi. We sell that in food service. That's about half of our business. And then we have the sandwich product, which I talked to you about. We also have another product out here if you want to try it. We call it snack pods. You can seal our product and make a little snack pod out of it, and it's really healthy. If you eat 10 of them, it's about half an apple. This is what our goals are for this raise. So we want to, I've already talked about this, we want to get out there, get into more stores, hire more people. Venture Mechanics has helped us bring on some new talent. So we have a CSO who's helping us fractional. We have Greta, who's our CMO, and that's really been a big deal. And I mean, Brent knows and so forth. Like, I'm dealing with a mixer problem in the factory right now. So somebody broke a bolt on my mixer. So I'm having to deal with that. And what we really want to do is get me away from that, untether me from those tasks so I can go out and grow the business. Everybody wants this to be up and to the right. We're profitable. Well, we're not profitable yet, but we have really high gross margins. We're vertically integrated. We have really good operating leverage. And most of the investment is going to go towards sales, and that's what we're going to use it for. And once we get to a certain level, then the profit just should come in pretty easily. These are just giving you more details about that, what I just said. 67% gross margin on the retail. We end up with about 17 net, 64% on Amazon. We have a 40% repurchase rate on Amazon, which is really high. People want to achieve 20%. We're at about a 40% repurchase rate, and we can grow Amazon quite well, I think. Use of funds, this is more about what it is. So it's a seed round. We're already established. We're already a going concern. We've invested a lot of our own money. I'm very fortunate that I do have I got some investments from the Alliance of Angels. I have some commitments from the Alliance of Angels. And thanks to Venture Mechanics, I've gotten really good at talking to investors, and we've got some strong interest from some CPG companies as well. Here's the team. I already talked about Jerry and Greta. This is me. We've got really good mentors as well. I think this is a typical exit. So you're generally getting a 3 or 4x on exits. And there's been a lot of acquisitions in CPG lately. This is just more about some of the things I've been winning lately. Thanks to Ron, I got into the Startup World Cup finale. So next month I'm participating in that in San Francisco, and that's New Gem.
You blew right past that. So you won the Seattle Startup World Cup. It's in 110 cities, and now you get to go to San Francisco and participate in the grand finale for $1 million non-dilutive investment prize.
Yeah, $1 million gift. I'll take it.
And Joshua, by the way, won third place
Yeah.
with Real Engineers.
Yeah, so there's a lot of positive things that has been developing since our involvement with venture mechanics. I've gotten a lot better at preparing to talk to investors, talking to investors. I say I've been playing around the edges for a long time and trying to raise capital, and it's becoming much more successful, my efforts. Questions? Gio.
Do you have any plans or interest in working with food service caterers?
Yeah, actually, that's
do a B2B kind of.
that's
angle on it?
one of my goals would be is with the investment is we're going to get more salespeople on board that they would focus on retail because that's kind of already set up, and then I kind of want to put a little bit of my energies into food service. There's a lot of opportunity there.
Great presentation. Just a quick question. Since you have an adaptable form factor by what you're making, have you guys by chance looked at the catering to elite human performance markets?
Yeah. Actually, I was at a trade show and a guy who was a bodybuilder, he was talking to me about it. And then also, coincidentally, I was in the Mondelez collab Snack Futures. I was one of 9 companies that got selected for the Mondelez collab, and coincidentally, the guy who runs their venture fund is a triathlete, and so he was talking to me about that as well. And so we would have to get into the lab and do some things. But one of the things he wanted me to do was the snack pods. If you see that picture there, yep. He was saying that when they do a triathlon, they have these gel packs, and if you litter, you get penalized. And so what he said is if he's trying to reach for that 6th gel pack, and it's a sticky mess, and he can't find it, and it's a disaster. He's like, if I could just eat them as I drive, or as I'm riding, and then when I get down to the last one, there's only one left, and I just got to eat it. He's like, that would be. He actually said, he's like, if you do that, I'll go into business with you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
There's just a confluence that sometimes on defense tech, elite sports,
yeah,
and the margins on some of this stuff when you put it in the right thing that they want,
yeah,
goes so high it's crazy. Anyway, happy to. Got a couple connections for you. I'd like to.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you. Yeah, actually we worked with the Natick. They taught me that basically they treat soldiers like elite athletes. They're trying to feed them like elite athletes. Yeah.
By the way, hundreds of people have taste tested these snack pots, but
yeah.
Only here at Venture Mechanics, the only place in the world where you can get it. That's the only reason Brent keeps coming back. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So along those lines, are you doing anything with proteins? Do you have any products that are meat products, protein products?
I don't quite understand the question. Sorry.
Well, my impression was you're using vegetables as a source, and you're making the products out of vegetables.
Correct.
I'm asking, can you do anything with protein, like beef or
No.
chicken?
That's not our technology. Not where not where I'm focusing.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
But you do the honey glazed hams.
Yeah. So, but it's a plant-based product that we wraps around a spiral cut ham, and it hydrates into a glaze. But it's apple-based. Yeah. Yeah. There's Frank, I mean, these are good ideas. It's just not necessary. I mean, we can be $100 million business with a tomato wrap. I mean,
We got time for one more question.
Yeah, great presentation.
Thank you.
Pretty delicious.
Thank you very much.
And Matt will be here afterwards. All the companies are here afterwards out there. And you still have samples left?
I don't know. I have to go look.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, two-part question, but they're related. How circumventable is your IP if a big player decides to get in? And what do you see as the biggest risks?
So our technology it's not easy. I'll tell you that. I mean, if you put a lot of time into it, you probably could figure it out. But there's a lot of IP that goes into our technology. It looks simple, but it's not. What I tell people is I had to figure out how to make the stuff, and I looked at food industry equipment, and actually standard food industry equipment wouldn't do what I needed it to do. So I had to look outside that. And so kind of the way to describe it is it's like using a cement truck to make food, right? So nobody would really look at a cement truck to make food, right? And so that's one thing, is you really got to look outside of the food industry. A lot of my equipment is not food industry equipment. And then even ingredients, how we prep our ingredients, some of it was just accidents, honestly. When I was working at the USDA with them for 4 years, some of it was just like, why did that work? And it worked, right? So some of it was just accidental. So somebody has to get that same luck, right?
You do have patents.
And yeah, I do. I have patents on the product, but we IP'd the process. And then, what was the second part of the question? Oh, biggest risks. Greta told me not to give this answer. But the biggest risk if I get hit by a bus, I guess,
But we had your wife do the pitch last time.
Yeah.
And she is absolutely plug substitutable.
No, I mean, the biggest risk is like, honestly, if I don't get funding, and then the process is pretty well sussed out. I mean, and we can teach it to people, and so they can make the product. I mean, yeah, I suppose if somebody could come out with something similar and try and compete with us, more directly. Current competitors are just not the same as us. Everybody else is kind of one. It's like a vanilla, and they just add flavor to it. Where our tomato's tomato, our carrot's carrot, our mango's mango, and so on. So I think, I guess execution. If we, it's all about execution, right? So I guess there's execution risk, I guess.
Okay, thank you, Matt. All right. Next up is Vandana Mishra with GoEasy.Kids. And I do want to tell the story how when Vandana first came in, and I'm like, what? Another rideshare service for kids? I know the only ones I know about went out of business, didn't do well, right? And then she said, oh, I've already delivered 30,000 kids. Like, wow, okay. And then we found out how impressive the business is. So take it away. Tell them all about it.
Yeah, hi. I'm Vandana, founder of GoEasy. So I found GoEasy out of my own struggles as a busy mom with balancing schools, balancing work and school runs, and driving my kids to activities. Many parents face these issues these days, and you will be surprised to know that we spend over 4,000 hours driving a child from kindergarten through 11th grade. I got around by hiring nannies, but there were so many hassles, like nanny being expensive just to do the driving job for my kids. And then at many times they were unreliable and did not work when my kids were headed into different directions. I could not trust rideshare companies like Uber or Lyft for obvious safety reasons. And then I also tried to book rides on some platforms, but there were no drivers available for those times and for shorter distance rides when my kids were going to activities nearby. Then I wondered, there are 55 million kids who go to school every single day, and 54% of these kids rely on private transportation to schools. This is $163 billion market if you consider, average ride rate to be at $20. Then why there is no solution to this problem found yet? When looked further, I figured out there are some companies which tried this, but they failed because they tried to copy the existing rideshare models, which operate on a trip basis from point A to point B. They did not focus on child-specific protocols like safety required to handle a child. And then also the ride economics did not work. So then I decided to take matter in my own hands and introduced a route-based service model based on the learnings that parents like us are looking for reliable, consistent solution for recurring rides, and they want familiarity with the driver. All this can be achieved by route-based service model. We can achieve driver retention, which actually enables trust amongst families, and they start, and the rides become safer too, with increased operation efficiencies. Then parents would ask, when they came to our platform, they would ask, how would I know my child is safe? We introduced many safety protocols like 15-point driver verification process. This involves drivers to have child care experience, and then installing the video cameras while onboarding the drivers, then having the drivers go through training processes on how to follow the protocol for child pickup and drop off, and then industry leading experience to back up each and every ride. So how does it work for ride organizer? That they come on our platform, they create account, they add their children, they request rides. They can request one-time or recurring rides for up to 3 months in advance. And then our platform creates routes, and it is published to all the drivers who are matched. Our driver matching engine is also unique. And then driver accepts the route, and then the ride gets served. So far, we have serviced over 30,000 rides, and we are growing year over year. We are all bootstrapped, and we have served actually several hundred parents, and we have more than 1,000 parents signed up on our platform. We recently got into a contract with Mercer Island School District. We also have a partnership with Chess for Life to service all their locations. So whoever children are coming to their location from different schools, we got the contract to bring them, and it's under progress now. For the service order is being processed now. Year over year, our average spend per customer is increasing as well. And we are achieving, we are targeting the 2 years of lifetime of a single customer, but it can be more. Our business model is very simple. It's platform-based. We charge our customer a ride fee and take 30 to 40% share from each ride. We estimate our customers on an average request 144 rides every year, and a 5-mile ride costs $32, $21 goes to a driver, and out of these 144, we can generate $1,580 as an operating margin per customer per year. So this all is achievable through the technology platform. We have developed a driver app, we have a parent booking app, and then we have a routing software as well as driver decision engine, alongside the administration of user management, driver management, and onboarding, as well as in last 3 months, we have delivered the school district dashboard where they can manage each and every vehicle as well as riders. We are mainly targeting parents as our customers, but also we are working with school districts. Independent schools and activity providers are our channel partners, and we are also working with corporations. Instead, we are in talk with Microsoft to get onto their Prime discount program fairly soon, probably by end of this week. And then Microsoft employees are going to be our customer, but Microsoft is going to be the channel partner. Our go-to-market strategy is to target the families, and which are concentrated in high-income neighborhoods with kids ages 5 and 17. Then social media marketing, partner with schools with the help of BizDev person, and then also get into the corporate benefits programs. We do have competitors here, we consider Uber also competitor for teen rides, but we are the only one which provides a route-based service model with a driver retention and a lot of areas where safety is concerned. Parents do like us. We are asking for seed money with a safe note. This will help us to grow revenue in 2026 to 2.3 million. and then we will also raise further money later. These are what our happy customers say. They came from our competitor and they like us. And these ratings, 5-star ratings, we have gotten from the customers who have requested 3,000 plus rides. And we have had 0 safety incidences so far. And our team consists of myself, I'm founder and CEO. We have Ty on board as advisor operations who helped launch Uber and DoorDash. We have Gaurav here who is mentor, sales and marketing, and Greta as fractional CMO. We have Kashyap here, who is a software developer who is traveling from India and happened to be here today. With your investment, we promise that you will get 20x return with an exit being acquired by the players like Uber and Lyft based on their previous acquisitions. Thank you.
First of all, wow. I mean, since the conclave, like, wow. I mean, amazing. Yeah, really great job.
Thank you so
It's
much.
a really good presentation.
Thank you.
I think you've addressed a lot of the key issues that came up in the conclave. The one that I didn't hear you talk about is how you're going to scale, and the challenges around scaling, because it is a very local scaling model.
No, so every area we scale, we will have to have operations manager and biz dev, but the technology can scale to take care of that. We will, of course, have the drivers. Of course, regulations will have to have place, but this in the model that we have built in, there's some time of 2 to 3 months before we start launching into new area. We have built in, the hiring processes for driver or onboarding processes for drivers, and the operations manager and biz dev person locally being present there. And there are a lot of AI tools available which can actually ramp up the operations really fast.
Do you, so just in terms of your scaling approach, are you planning on going after multiple markets at the same time? How many markets, and what's your timeline to get to a point where you're at exit scale?
So we are planning to launch in 1 more market next year, and then 4 different markets simultaneously 2 years down the line. And the exit that we are planning is in 2029, 5 years down the line.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Phoenix is next market that we are targeting based on the regulations and the number of drivers and the families that we have researched about.
Thank you. Steve, last question. Yeah.
The drivers bring their own vehicles?
Yes, drivers bring their own vehicles, yes. But the vehicles are endorsed by county and city of Seattle.
And I'm curious if you've helped connect them at all with like the federal electric vehicle tax credits, which expire in 20 days, or that's up to them. They just, as long as the vehicle qualifies for safety.
That really would be great, and that's an incentive for drivers to come to our platform too. That's a good idea.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vandana.
Thank you.
And Reza, not only did she do great compared to you were participating in Final Conclave. Like every time you're up here, you're so much smoother than the last time, so this is great. Okay, I'm gonna give Tenley a hug because we went to high school together, Bronx High School of Science, 45 years ago. And all of a sudden I get this message on LinkedIn, hey Ron, I hear you're working with startups. And next thing you know, she's in here with EG Metrics, otherwise known as Orca. This is one of our Catapult companies in FinTech. What's that?
I know, I saw that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh wow, yeah. And I should also mention, a lot of you have seen QDeck before, and QDeck closed their, which is our other FinTech company. Also a strategic connection with these guys. Oh, the clicker is right there. Yeah, it's here, let me show you. That one. So QDeck closed their funding, 2.8 million convertible note, and currently in negotiations with 6 companies attempting to acquire them. So that's looks like it's gonna be a quick exit too. But we introduced you to
Yes,
Jag,
yes.
and he is selling to wealth managers, and immediately wanted to put Orca in their dashboard. So very
Yeah.
cool
We're still
synergies
hoping that
between two
happens.
companies in the Catapult.
We're still hoping that happens. You have to forgive me. It's a new deck, so I've got to use my notes, but I'll do my best to do it by memory.
And you've never pitched it before. It's
I
usually
haven't.
Brian.
No, Brian is normally the guy that does it. And I'm Tenley Cedarstrand. I'm with EG Metrics. And we founded EG Metrics to provide objective measurements of the people and structure within organizations. And we launched in financial services because our original founder, Brian Golob, spent 20 years at Russell Investments, where he understood that the people behind investment strategies matter. When you invest, you're betting on people, but no one is measuring the people that manage the money until now. We developed Orca, a tool that uses AI and machine learning to predict organizational failure before it hits client portfolios. Oh, I gotta do two things at one time, it's awful. Here's an example. WAMCO is one of the biggest brand name bond funds. In 2024, an executive was charged with fraud, and within 6 months, clients pulled $120 billion with a B. But Orca saw the signs 9 months earlier. In December 2023, while it was still highly rated by Morningstar, Orca showed it as a 4 times risk probability. We provided a head start in avoiding the ensuing fire sale and chaos, but we don't just flag disasters. We help professionals save time, improve research, and make better decisions. Here's the thing. 90% of capital in the US flows through funds, not stocks, funds. And by regulation, there are minor differences in strategies. That means that investors are putting their trust in the hands of fund manager organizations, the people. And most failures, over 50%, are organizational in nature. Culture breakdowns, bad leadership, miscontrols, and the industry knows that organizational dynamics matter and has recognized this lack of insight as a problem, but believes these soft signals are immeasurable, can't be measured, because it's hard, it's complicated, and it is, but we found a way. We don't just look at the returns and performance metrics, we look at the firms behind the returns. We collected new data on the culture, controls, and business models from over 20,000 firms spanning 20 years, and using machine learning, we identified patterns that precipitate problems. Using the idea that somebody knows, we pull intel from the employees, regulators, and clients, people who know the company best, and can spot trouble before it spills into performance. We predict organizational success ahead of the curve. We've done hundreds of customer interviews, and we've tested Orca across the industry, from ODD teams to family offices to some of the world's largest allocation managers, and the feedback has been consistent. Orca saves time, flags risks early, and gives professionals something they've never really had, a scalable way to evaluate behind the organizations behind the
Tenley,
funds.
what is an ODD team?
Oh, operational due diligence. I don't have a pointer, but operational due diligence. They're the ones that look at the kind of background information of the fund managers. It's a very tedious process. It's about 40 hours per review. They do site visits, that sort of thing, as opposed to investment research, which is looking kind of fund performance and what might make that stock go up or down, or the fund go up or down. Recent news, we are working with CalSTRS and SSERS, 2 pension funds. It's their job to protect billions of dollars and secure the financial futures for their people. They need to improve efficiency within their process. They have an overwhelming number of investments with limited team capacity, and they have reported to us an estimated 35% capacity gain using Orca to streamline their ODD process. The second is with Russell Investments. We've worked with Russell on the whole development of this product, but the most recent is a first of its kind fund to firm name matching tool within Orca that helps to uncover the maze of managers and sub-managers that control the funds. And then finally, we are integrating Orca into Kavout's AI research tool. It's a business-to-consumer fund stock research site, and they want to incorporate mutual fund information. And we're helping them provide that information using fund tickers and this name matching so that their clients can now look at mutual funds as well as stocks. The market is huge. We're targeting the $246 billion global analytics market. Our wedge, 750,000 investment professionals in over 20,000 firms. Our obtainable US market is 1.35 billion. How are we going to get there? We're a SaaS model with an average price of about $20,000 per year per subscription. We need less than 0.1% of the available US market to get to our goal of $10 million ARR within 3 years. The competition, we like to think there is no competition because really no one has done this before. It's hard. It's hard to do what we do. It's complicated. And the industry has kind of overlooked it as, well, we kind of know what we're doing, but we know every year that there's failures that happen. Orca is an additive metric. The currently available tools are focused on automating or outsourcing or analyzing past performance, but they offer little new insight. Orca doesn't compete with these players. We complete the stack. Fun fact, all of these companies are potential partners. We can integrate into all of their systems and be additive and help their clients make better decisions. And so we've talked to a few, and there are buyout, we've talked to NASDAQ specifically, and the buyout opportunities, if they partner with us or buy us out, are historically 7 to 12x ARR. The team, I think, is amazing. It's Tessa and Blake are, oh, sorry, it didn't turn?
Not the team
Oh,
slide.
sorry. Oh, it's in a different order. That's why. Well, I'll come back to Tessa and Blake and how fabulous they are. To complete Orca 2.0, which includes that name matching function, expand data sources and execute our go-to-market plan. And we're looking for the right partner to get us there. Why did it go the wrong way? Okay, there we are. So the team, Blake and Tessa are from NOAA and NASA respectively. I spent my career in biotech, introducing innovative products to a very difficult market that spent its time doing things the same way every time because it's science and they want to control as much as possible, but had a very successful career doing that. And Brian Golob was Chief Compliance Officer, General Global Counsel of Russell Investments. It's a unique combination of industry expertise, excellent science, and market execution. So the product is ready to address the stated need for innovative insights into manager organizations from the world's largest buyer of analytics. We have a great team, and the market is hungry for an edge. Join us to transform decision intelligence and protect people's investments. Questions?
Questions? Pretty damn good job for your first pitch.
Huh?
You were
Did
10
it for
seconds
you.
over.
Did it
though.
for you, honey.
Very interesting product. You know, as
Thank
an
you.
investor, team is one of the most important things I look at.
Yeah.
Considering.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you analyze management organizations? I mean, what's this data that you're collecting?
Yeah.
And so how's it being sourced? How's it being managed?
Yeah. So we take a combination of regulatory filings, ADV, NSEN, the massive amount of data coming from the SEC. We combine that with signals that we get from social media, Indeed, hiring sites, employee evaluations of what it's like to work at a certain place. And then we also look at company data like number of compliance officers and how many people are in which department, and look at employee incentives, company reports, and we combine that into 48 machine learning models and come up with pattern recognition, basically looking at what events happened in the past and what precipitated those events, and then those signals point us to that event potentially happening again.
But there are 4 basic scores, is that right? Out of the 48, they boil them down to 4.
Yeah, and it's ranked in percentile and by percent probability. And we look at culture, controls, and business models are kind of the targets.
Don't tell me there's a DoD angle on this.
There is.
For insider threat, there is actually. But just real quick, so if you're an organization, if you're an investment fund, do you buy this product to reduce the risk in your own organization? Is that right? No.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Brian. Yeah, go ahead.
That is a potential market. In fact, that's where I started, because I was in a bunch of years that I did a whole bunch of it. And I often had how could I get that? Comparative benchmark here. Right? So originally designed for that, but we found actually the fastest, easiest, broadest application are the reality.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of in phase 2 of the marketing plan.
Yep.
That's a long answer. Have a couple of conversations with management consultants who want to incorporate the scores and some insights that we get to improve their own recommendation. What sorts of
So if I can share a funny story, Chris, you're former CIA. My best friend is former FBI, and I called him and I said, would law enforcement ever want to know about any of this stuff? He said, nah, we wait for the civil cases to happen first. We don't have resources. The states have even fewer resources to go after predictive analysis on when a fund is going to collapse. However, he suggested going to the KPMGs of the world, right? The auditors. So, well, if you're going to the auditors, it's very expensive to have your auditor then come to you and say, you got a problem somewhere in the company, we got in this report. Then the company itself ought to be buying the service on themselves first.
No, that's I mean, like
Right.
you're almost giving a credit rating. You're almost
Yes.
Exactly.
giving a FICO score
Yep.
outside. So if a company wants to know it inside, you'd probably want to pay extra to stop the problem before it became a huge problem.
Precisely.
It's almost like ransomware, but legal. Just kidding. I'm joking.
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little tiny.
Yeah.
bit. So, okay,
Yeah.
and then just final thing. So let's say you were a financial company, and you bought this for your own use. Where does that data go if you're uncovering stuff that you're trying to fix, but maybe you want to know first so you can fix it, and you don't want like, hey, great, everyone knows our company's all effed up. I'm just kidding. I'm just being
Right.
funny. But
Yeah.
where does it go? Like, where does it
Where's the
data
data?
store? Like, how does it? Who knows? Like the legal department, or who kind of knows what's happening?
I mean, we really give risk scores,
Yep.
and then we can dig down and show from where that risk is arising,
Yeah.
and point them in that direction. So key people, maybe you want to deep dive into HR, or maybe your incentive plans for your salespeople. If you find people cutting corners, if you have, if you reduced your compliance officers and you put the the thumb down on your salespeople, maybe there's going to be some corners that are cut. So we can show them from where it's arising.
Yep.
But really, what we're reporting is a probability of a risk in that area, and then a percentile rank versus peers.
Oh, cool. No, great. No, super great product.
Yeah.
Just cool. Just a couple different things you can do with it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
thank you.
absolutely, yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Nope. One more. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you back tested it, and can you show examples of like
Yeah.
the signals identifying? Because that would be awesome to
Yeah,
see.
yeah. Well, if you show me a headline so far, and now granted that's not a scientific method, but if you show me a headline, we can go back into Orca about 8 months, and we can show that bubbling up of that risk area, and we're at about 100%. But given a headline, we know where to look, right? So that's a bit easier to do. But as of right now, we're at about 100%.
Yeah, because that's how I would sell it. I would just go in and be like,
Yeah.
Here's a back
Yeah.
test, and you can identify all the signals.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have validation numbers that the data scientists have shown us, and there's some very rough data that's showing about a 1.5x better improvement on outcomes, but we don't have them solid enough for me to actually say that out loud like I just did. Yeah, no, it's good. It's really good. Yeah, it's particularly effective if you think of like family offices that have, just one or two people doing ODD and investment research. If you can point them now, like they're trying to choose between 10 firms or 10 funds, or, they can narrow it down to what are the two that have kind of the best performance historically, but then also have a lower risk profile. And that helps them immensely because they can focus now on two and not have to do all their due diligence, all the other stuff on the other 8 just to get to that point.
Thanks.
Not bad for a Bronx science kid. All right, and now we're going to turbo through the next 4. These companies have not yet been through Catapult, so please come in 90 days and see what they perform like after they've been through Catapult. So first up is ReadyBit, and Trevor came all the way from Silverdale today to tell you about his super cool company. Take it away. Okay, you got 4 minutes, and then 2 minutes Q&A.
Thank you, Ron. Hi, my name is Trevor Wilcox. I'm a founder and CEO of ReadyBit. Imagine you're running a business where your customers expect you to keep them stocked, but you have zero visibility into their inventory. So you call them to find out what they need, but they don't answer or they don't know. So you send the trucks out anyways, and you waste time and money. If you try to save some money and not send the trucks out and guess wrong, the customer runs out of product and you lose a sale, or even the customer altogether. Down button. Yeah, sorry. This is the problem that's facing chemical distributors every day today. They have service reps that are driving hours every week, multiple hours, going out to remote locations just to check to see if they have enough chemicals left in their tank. The customers are calling with rush orders, reacting when they run out, because tanks, totes, barrels, drums, they're used in virtually every sector you can think of, and almost all of them are purely reactive in their monitoring. So the chemical distributor is facing all these operational frictions, but the real problem is missed sales. So let's look at an example of that. Consider a drum of detergent that's sold to kitchens. It's $1,000 per drum. It's replaced monthly. And on average, it's replaced 4 days late. Our data shows it's actually worse than that, but let's just say it's 4 days late. If you're shipping 1,000 drums per month, that's 133 days of chemical revenues across that 1,000 drums. That's $1.6 million per year in that slack, in that 4-day slack where that drum is not changed on time. ReadyBit solves this with a wireless sensor that mounts right on top of the container and reads right through the top of the container using radar. We measure how much stuff is in it, what the temperature is, geolocation. We stream all that to an intelligent analytics platform that we built, where you can see the historical usage, set customizable alerts, and detect abnormal usage. And more importantly, you can automate your sales so you don't leave any of that sales revenue on the table. Our business model is divided into 2 revenue segments. One is for the hardware. The customers buy and own the hardware for $300 per unit. And then they pay us $360 per unit per year for subscription access to the platform. So for that example, with a modest chemical distributor shipping 1,000 drums per month, we'd be looking at $300,000 in hardware revenue with $360,000 recurring in subscription fees. Using that pricing, looking at 10,000 chemical distributors in the United States and over 15 million monitorable containers available, we see a massive opportunity. And while there's some competitors out there, they're not really offering the same thing we're offering. They're either traditional industrial sensors that are very expensive, that require expensive wired installations, or they're kind of cheaper, lower-end wireless sensors that don't really have strong software integration, and the software platform is where we truly deliver value to our customers. Besides, I should say, of all the customers we've talked to, I'd say 9 out of 10 are using broom handles to measure their detergent right now. So our go-to-market strategy is focusing on the distributors. While we could sell to operators, distributors have the largest economic advantage. Plus, they're selling by accounts, not going site by site as we would going to individual operators. And we have one customer type for virtually every sector that uses chemicals, which is all of them. We have fantastic traction and validation right now. We're done with our MVP and ready to scale our hardware production. We have customer field trials in 5 states, and we've already identified $120,000 in missed revenue in these trials that we just completed this month. We have signed IOIs indicating over 8,000 units of demand from initial customers and glowing testimonials. My background is in IoT hardware development. I've been doing that for over 15 years. My co-founder manages business development with his existing chemical network of vendors. And we're backed by expert advisors from Bloomberg and Nuveen. And we have a all-star, world-class engineering team that's cumulatively shipped millions of units that are in use today. We're raising. We have 475,000 raised on the safe for 476 raised. Excuse me, 576 raised to date. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
Thank you. Could you talk a little bit more about your go-to-market and how you actually reach your customers and how you will be able to grow that?
Yeah, thank you, Dana. So we've primarily been using trade shows right now and kind of specifically headhunting specific companies that we're interested in. We were first looking at selling directly to operators, and while they get a lot of value out of our product, they tend to be more price sensitive, and really the distributors are the ones that are losing the most money with the barrels sitting empty. So talking to distributors, they're interested in ordering on the scale of thousands. If we talk to individual operators, they're looking at onesie, twosie, or dozens. We're also looking at software partners that are in adjacent spaces, such like operational equipment efficiency or CRM softwares, where we can hook in and kind of cross-populate.
Super interesting. I guess the radar is really looking at volume. Is there any opportunity to actually look at content for quality or fraud? Maybe you know about the Quebec maple syrup heist, but to know what's in there, or is that a separate?
That is a really good question. Our core MVP that we're focusing on is just basic kind of level measurement, but we can see the usage rate and get derived signals, other signals from that. We can't tell anything about the actual content very well. Although an interesting idea is we can measure the difference between oil and water, which is a common problem in diesel tanks and also in fraud, where water is added to barrels. So that's something that's not really in our core offering to start, but we have it on our roadmap.
But flow rate's really interesting. Too much flow can be an indication of impending equipment failure or something like that. Too little flow, similarly. So that's
exactly right,
very
Ron.
valuable information.
Yeah, one of the field trials we just finished, most of that savings that we found was because a pump was only administering 1/4 of the amount that it should have been administering. So that they were losing $151 per day at that site. They have hundreds of sites like that. So the question is, statistically, how many other sites are operating that condition?
Yeah. Any last questions? Okay, great. All right. And Brandon here was in the Marine Corps, by the way, and Trevor was in the Marine Corps. Brandon was a DOD guy on submarines doing air quality stuff, amazing background, nuclear scientist on aircraft carriers and stuff. Can we get, there you go. So this is Violet, and also from, well, technically Pierce County, but Gig Harbor.
Yeah, close enough.
The good side of the neighborhood.
Yeah, so thanks for having me here. So I'm Brandon Doyle, founder and CEO of Violet, and we've developed the CrowdStrike for pathogens. Credit to Ron for that tagline. And I'll be the next to struggle with the clicker. So air health is critical for all of our health, so why don't we think about it more often? Why isn't it top of mind? It's an invisible problem. Most solutions out there don't solve the whole problem, and a lot of them are too expensive to access. So I like to think about this like a bottle of water. So if I knew this bottle was full of bacteria in this water, I wouldn't drink it. If I knew that, I wouldn't drink it. With air, it's a similar thing. We can't hold our breath for very long. We don't really have the same option as water. But if we knew that the air was full of a specific virus, a bacteria, mold, pollen, we would be moved to solve that problem for the building, right? So what does CrowdStrike for pathogens mean? It's making air health look more like cybersecurity. So we've developed a technology that can constantly be monitoring for threats, identify specific threats, viruses, bacteria, mold, and essentially take action to resolve that threat, eliminate those threats, and also communicate immediately with all the stakeholders involved. So how does this work? The technology we've developed is essentially ionizing air, and when things in the air are ionized, they're going to emit light of a specific wavelength, and we can detect those wavelengths with fluorescence spectroscopy. So that's all technical stuff, but really what we're doing is we have a data set of known wavelengths that are associated with specific pollutants, so viruses, bacteria, mold, and when that wavelength shows up, that means that that particle is in that room, right? And we can report that, we can take action. And so we're using this to develop a platform that will be constantly searching for these pollutants in the air, notifying stakeholders when they're there, and taking action to keep people safe. We're going to be able to incorporate artificial intelligence into this platform. Really, that's going to be for predictive analysis and notifying before there's an actual problem, monitoring trends, and reporting. That doesn't solve the whole problem. If you know what's in the air but you can't remove it, you're only part of the way there, right? So we have also developed technology that's industry leader in eliminating viruses, bacteria. There's a version of this out in the other room you can take a look at. We have it as a portable device. We've also developed that into a built-in solution that can be installed in the ceiling. Long story short, we maximize UVC dose of an airstream going through a system, and we're proven to eliminate all pathogens. And a little bit heavy. Nice job. You've been working out, haven't you? So yeah, I mean, right here we have a high-intensity UVC chamber. We create a vortex airflow in that chamber. We've proven to eliminate all pollutants in the air that are going through this system through a lot of third-party testing. We have over 600 facility customers that are using our air disinfection technology, schools, elder care, healthcare, with a lot of great results. We have an experienced team. I've been working on this for a while, and I worked for Department of Defense for over a decade before this as a nuclear engineer and technology leader. There's a lot of companies that are focused on cleaning the air. There's nobody that can do real-time pathogen differentiation. This is first of its kind technology that we're launching. It's a large market, but this is only considering the US, and it's only considering healthcare, elder care, education. And in our target market, really we're focused in elder care primarily right now. So we have sold a lot of devices, but really as we move to pathogen sensing, it's gonna be enterprise subscriptions for the data. And I will kind of breeze through these last slides here. We've sold over 2 million in revenue, and we have really strong IP protecting all of our technology. And then we're developing a large go-to-market partnership with Overcast Innovations, which is a McKinstry and Armstrong company that we're really excited about. And we're going to be currently raising a $1.5 million safe note with a $6 million post-money valuation and a 20% discount. We're going to use the Venture Mechanics hybrid safe. And yeah, that is all I have. Ready for questions.
Sorry about the obnoxious timer. We need to get a new one.
That's all right.
Questions for Brandon?
So does it identify the actual viruses, just tell you that there's that type of organism, and then you have to do an assay after that? Or are you collecting any particles for further testing? How are you managing that part of things?
Yeah, so essentially how this works is we create a data set of known pollutants. So if bird flu goes airborne, we isolate that, we test it, and we identify bird flu. We can identify RSV, COVID, all of those things very specifically. It's not like they have a different wavelength emitted. Yeah, so we've identified that influenza and COVID-19 virus, they're very similar in structure, but they emit a different wavelength of light when they're ionized. And so this is a full data set that's going to give you very specific information of what's in the air.
And then it's continuously monitoring as it's cleaning the air to tell you how much the concentration is coming down until it's zero.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about your business model and your margins?
Yeah, so up till now, we've been selling devices, and we've had between 60 and 70% margin on what we've sold previously with this, and we're going to be moving towards a subscription model where it's going to be a monthly fee for facilities to go access the technology. But the hardware itself for pathogen sensing, it's going to be, as of right now, pricing around 50% margin for the device, but focus more on subscription revenue.
Any last questions? Outdoor voice, since you're not by the
I can repeat the question. Yeah, could it be used for screening people or diagnosis? That's a great question, and we're working with a university on this, University of Utah, and the professor that I'm working with developed a breathalyzer previously for Zika, and that's an implementation we're looking at. And how do you, somebody's coming in for a high-risk job, how do you make sure they're not bringing a virus into the workplace? That's a really important thing that we're going to work to solve.
So imagine at a ICU, NICU, oncology ward, you'd want people using the breathalyzer before they go anywhere near these patients. Yeah, airplanes, absolutely. You could signal to the cockpit that tuberculosis has been picked up, drop the oxygen masks. CDC will meet you at the gate, but we're cleaning the air in the meantime, but actually invoke a protocol. Because right now you can absolutely catch COVID from the person sitting right next to you, even though the HEPA filters, in theory, are catching all the viruses. The reality is he's right there, and it takes a while for the air to get to the HEPA filter where it's trapped, not destroyed. So that's a risk to the maintenance people who have to replace those filters. Any HEPA filter is just holding on to those pathogens, but it can actually be destroyed. So that would be an OEM licensing deal to Donaldson, PTI, Honeywell, companies that do those on aircraft.
Cool.
Super.
Thank you.
All right. So who was your science teacher, Tenley? Physics, we did spectrophotometry, I remember, at Bronx Science, and then all of a sudden, I don't hear about it for 40 years until all of a sudden, not one but two companies, now three companies actually coming through. So the next company, which is Raymond, are you here? Yeah, from Spectra Insight, is a different angle on spectral analysis, and he's been doing science in this and business in this arena for a very long time. So it's really cool to see this confluence of new stuff. And as we learned from Raymond, there's going to be hyperspectral photometry cameras in your iPhone coming in the next few years, and it's going to be a total game changer. So this is getting ready to get ready for some amazing stuff that's going to be democratized here in our own lives every day. So Raymond, you want to come up here and tell them about Spectral Insight? Danny, can we get the presentation up? Ah, okay. Always get your pitch decks in early, Raymond. Down button, yeah. I'm learning all about lighting up ionizing the air to have it come up brighter, more sensitive, as in Violet's application, similar in Spectral Insights applications here. But there's massive amounts of data that have to be processed. Yeah. Make sense out of all this. Okay, it's all yours.
Thank you. This is Raymond Castlegan on Spectral Insight. Has everyone noticed what Violet is doing? What Violet is doing at the micro scale, we're going to be doing at the macro scale. So just as the picture shows, you know, everyone knows Star Trek's tricorder, right? It measures everything. Believe it or not, we're on our way there to be able to detecting virtually anything that's in the environment right on a modular device. And my history is in aerospace engineering and a lot of years in optical metrology over the last 30 years. I have various patents in the area, and I had a company before that has sold in 2015. So today's typical process for identifying, macro scale artifacts is basically you have to go to the crime scene, whether it's the grocery store with fruit that's not ripe, or whether it's at a real crime scene looking for cocaine or other toxins in some crime, stricken area. But basically, these processes are quite difficult, right? And it's all prone to human error. Basically, you have to go to the site, you have to collect samples. You could contaminate it right there. You then bag it and then send it to your department. You can contaminate it right there. Then they ship it to a lab. It can be contaminated just on the trip there. The lab takes several weeks often to get the results, sending it back, again, contamination again there. And that contamination can go both ways. Depending on what the substance is, you can contaminate the environment, or vice versa, you can contaminate the substance. So this whole process takes often weeks to months and is completely prone to human error. So it's very outdated, and new technologies are coming around the corner to solve this on a more massive scale. So how do we do this? Does everyone realize that science is only discovering what nature already does? And spectroscopy, as we've known for all these years, has been in nature for all as time as we can remember. A raindrop is the most basic, simple spectrometer. Light goes through it, it spreads the light out, and we produce the rainbow. Crystals in your living room do the same thing. They produce a rainbow when the light travels through it. Turns out those two rainbows are completely unique. They're like fingerprints. And now we have cameras coming out where every pixel in the image has that unique fingerprint. As a result, we have data instead of just one image that you get from your phone. You have 2,000 images, each one taking a different wavelengths, producing this fingerprint. And I will be focusing on the software for my company, and there are quite a few companies now starting to make these cameras. The market is 48 billion TAM, 20 billion SAM, and we're hoping to reach 50 million by 2032. The market areas that you can see are spread across from forensics, agriculture, pharmaceutical, all the way across the board, and eventually mobile phones when these types of cameras come out soon. So the problem is, as I mentioned, way too slow and error prone and too many stages in the process. Solution is that we're going to do what Apple did with the iPad. Nope, the iPod. Too many P's in there. But basically, we are combining all the various stages into a single package. You have your mobile device, you have software that acquires the data, you have software that processes it, sends these fingerprints off to a database, which we're offering subscriptions for, and returns and comes back and tells you all the different types of substances that the objects are made of that are within that image. So currently we have products that are available on laptop. We have various cameras that we integrate our software with 6 different manufacturers at the moment. And we have our own scanners for very high precision lab type and field type experiments. Here's an example of the application where it's automatically identified various types of flora and in the image. So it's the product's pretty much ready. Market, forensics to start, agriculture, climate change. Put your camera towards a smokestack and you immediately know what toxins are coming out. And be ready for the mobile market when it comes out in a few years. Business model, subscriptions for access to the databases, software licenses, and hardware sales. Go to market, trade shows, digital advertising, and distributors, which we have 3 of worldwide at the moment. 50 million, 5 by 2032. And competitors, we have 3. 2 of them have already been purchased by other larger companies, and none of them have the breadth that we provide in terms of power, subscriptions, and the amount of hardware that we can access. The team is myself at the moment, but we're also working with Catapult to have mentors, and we have 2 investors already. So at the moment, we have already accumulated $344,000 in angel investment, and we're now seeking $750K in a safe with $5 million cap and going from there. Thank you.
So I should note there's also a CrowdStrike for pathogens sort of play here because all these disparate databases that different research organizations have you're going to be able to combine them into sort of central source for all these thumbprints, so to speak, and sell that out on the subscription basis too.
Right, because there's over like maybe 10 or 20 different databases that are all individually run by governments and institutions. And we're the only ones who access all those databases and be able to search them and give you instant results from all of them. And that's where the subscription comes in.
Questions for Raymond?
Thank you, Raymond. Can you talk more about your ideal customer, where you're starting with, and how you reach that target customer?
The two target markets, in the immediate term are forensics and art. Art is smaller but more accessible as far as the amount of work to get that customer. Where you're identifying, you scan an entire art piece and you can identify all the different substances were used to create it, and also the age, and probably even where those substances came from across the different, across the planet. For forensics, we have police departments, we have crime labs, we have detective agencies, where they can actually perform those tests either on site or right in their office. And for those, we basically will pretty much give them a call, let them know what they have, walk in, get the interviews, and start the chain rolling from there.
Any other questions?
Raymond, really interesting technology, but I guess in my view, right now you're a one-man band. There is no team. What are your thoughts about that? Do you have people in mind? How are you going to build a team?
Currently, we have we have 6 companies, hardware companies, that are using our software with their instrumentation. So we already have like an OEM team that are selling their instruments, and they'll be selling our software to go with them. As far as product development, we basically will go as the need goes to enhance the product. But basically, the core engine product is platform independent, and now we would just hire programmers to basically take the building blocks, like Lego sets that are in this SDK that we offer, to build customized applications for different markets. And Catapult, as we go through that, we're going to be basically, as far as finance management and day-to-day management, hire, as we go. So we're pretty much at the beginning stages there, but on the product development side, it's pretty much done. And we already have OEMs and distributors for the product as we speak.
But the answer to his question is going through Catapult.
Yeah,
we will be identifying fractional team members initially, some of whom may end up joining the company long term. But we know he's a one-man band, and we definitely need to augment. But that's part of what we do with just about every company.
Right.
Thank you, Raymond. Excellent. Okay, another overly highly educated gentleman, Mansoor Masadi with MSOL. So this was interesting. I knew that they had these. You guys familiar with diesel trucks? They have the big gasoline tank, diesel tank, and then there's a smaller tank, usually hanging on the door. It's called urea, and it's necessary for emission controls. And the most surprising fact I learned about urea injectors is that sometimes the drivers themselves will pee in those tanks thinking it's the same thing, and it's not. This gentleman has spent his lifetime in the emissions controls industry, and that's what we love to see in a startup is that deep, deep knowledge of the industry. I'll shut up now. Take it away. Tell us all about urea injection.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Ron. Much appreciated. So,
it's the down button.
Thank you very much. I'm Mansoor Masudi, founder and CEO of MSOL. We are really a green tech company, an environmental company. And we have a problem in our space, which is emission control. It's really a fight between economics, what's good for the end user and industry, in terms of its economics especially, versus what is good for the environment and for nature and for us. So we have a pain point, and the pain point is that diesel engines produce nitrogen oxide, or known as NOx, that is heavily regulated around the world. What is NOx? It's essentially a mix of NO and NO2. We have nitrogen and oxygen in the air. They go inside the engine. They react with each other, even though fundamentally they have nothing to do with combustion, but the environment is great for them to react with each other. And they make those two, which we just simply call them NOx or NOx. They are bad for heart. They are bad for lung. They are acetate precursor. There is a ground. They form ground level ozone. And there's a whole bunch of things that doesn't fit on the slide. You can do an AI or Google search on it. And for good reasons, they are heavily regulated around the world, US, Europe, Asia, South America, parts of Africa, Middle East, etc., at different degrees of severity. The current solutions that the industry has in the US is that the emission control devices for NOx especially is our last challenge in emission control in diesel law. They have poor performance. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. They have a pretty high warranty rate. They do fouling. They have downtime. That's warranty cost to the OEM, and so on. They have a risk of non-compliance. This table you see down there on the in the gray box and the very down below, those are the examples of fines that EPA has forwarded to the industry. We are talking billions or hundreds of millions in each individual case. So we have a problem here. Problem for the industry, problem for the regulatory agency, for the humans, and for the environment. And it's really a challenge between the problem itself and the economics of it. Why? Diesel engines are super popular. They are all over the world. There are about 110 million population of them around the world. About 14 or 15 more are added each year. There is no economic alternative for them. They use the least amount of fuel. They're the most efficient combustion engine produced to date, even though they're one of the oldest. They are all over farming and agriculture industry, construction industry, logistics, medium-duty truck, heavy-duty trucks. 90% of marine vessels use diesel engines. Generators, even passenger cars. It's still about 25% of passenger cars in Europe and in India are diesel, and the list goes on. Data centers are the latest one, adding to they use it for emergency backup. So there is a lot we can talk about there. I stay brief, and that's where we come in. We have a solution that brings NOx emission down to a virtual zero at the tailpipe. We have done all these measurements, published more than one paper in peer-reviewed journals, so on and so forth. It's good for light passenger cars, medium-duty vehicles, heavy-duty engines, I should say, not just vehicles, on-road, off-road, ag, construction, mining, power, irrigation, etc., marine vessels, so on and so forth. The market is a little more than $5 billion, close to $6 billion. Some is about $1 billion, and some is about $200 million. How does NOx Zero solution, our proprietary technology, work? It was developed through a $1 million SPIR award. It's essentially an electrically heated mixer, which is what you have in the bottom there. That's our technology. It works with the vehicle battery. So it's a heater that knows when to heat, when not to heat, and when or how much to heat. So it's very optimal in terms of its power consumption. Keeps the power use to a minimum, etc. Again, we have published on this. We can bring the diesel NOx emission down anywhere from 20-fold to 100-fold. Again, this has been published in peer-reviewed journals. We just got funding from California Air Resources Board, one of the most progressive regulatory agencies in the world, even way ahead of Europe, to test this technology in California to see if we can save fuel with it, because we have some hypotheses you could. And fuel saving is CO2 reduction also. It's been patented worldwide. It reduces downtime, is good for the economic part of it, for the OEM, and it's good for the environment. There is something, and for the end user also, if it saves fuel, we go for that next. It's got one good thing, or more than one good thing for everybody in it. What's a market driver? This is really heavily regulated worldwide. Every region around the world has its own regulations. And to this, I'm only talking about regulations. We can also add green image for certain OEMs, or fleets out there, as well as the environmental impact and economic use, economic benefits.
Sir, we're
I talked
over
about.
time. I want to make sure we have some questions.
My last slide. What you want me to include? What is in the last 90 days? I just let you read. We have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
We have a couple of beachheads also already in the industry. So, thank you.
Want to make sure we have time for questions.
Thank you. Yeah.
Don't all rush up to the microphone at once. Okay, so the man representing the largest user of diesel in the world.
Just a general question. So if you bump, like if you can really customize a diesel engine by pulling the emissions off, chipping it, boosting it, you just make a tremendous amount of power, and then it makes it completely illegal, like exhaust-wise. Is that NOx? Is it NOx that you're creating a bunch more of? Like, can you make a much smaller diesel engine in general and have much greater performance from that same way smaller size engine by using your technology, like less resources for the whole thing, and it just makes more power? Or is there more components to emissions that are outside of NOx for when you're messing with diesel?
So the short answer is there are four specific. Engines make like 270 types of species. There are 4 that are heavily regulated around the world in diesel.
Yep.
CO and hydrocarbon, those are easy to manage and get rid of.
Yep.
NOx and PM or soot, you see these diesel truck have that puff coming out, the black thing, that's soot. Even if you see a black smoke coming out of a pretty new truck, they have put a defeat device on it. There is no way around it, and that's illegal. Long story short, NOx is the toughest to manage. So whether your engine is a small or as big, as long as you're combusting fuel and you make a high temperature environment, you're pulling air in, oxygen and nitrogen are going to react, make NOx. There is just no way around it.
Gotcha. And then just secondary question, just for NOx in general or for your device in general.
Yeah.
Are there, outside of reducing NOx, are there reliability enhancements or anything else that gives additional performance enhancements to a diesel engine by using this? That would not be like the perfect effect, but let's say for DOD or something where maybe they comply or don't comply, I don't know, with whatever they're doing, but it gets them a reliability factor or something that makes it good.
It reduces downtime because it takes some of the issues with urea injection out. Urea injection when the environment is the exhaust is not ideal. It actually doesn't make ammonia. That's why the urea is injected, which is ammonia is needed for a catalyst in there. Not only it doesn't make ammonia, doesn't do NOx reduction, actually makes solid stuff. And it damages the exhaust component. And that's a huge warranty issue in our industry. So that's an economic benefit, gets it out of the way, reduces downtime. There is some savings there. The second benefit is it's likely saves fuel. Based on our analysis, we should be able to produce 5 to 7% fuel benefits. That's huge for a fleet, though. 1% fuel economy for an intrastate trade is roughly equal to $1,500 a year, $1,500 a year in fuel saving. So that could be $10,000 a year for one truck, about, give or take, of fuel saving. If you have a fleet of 1,000 or 500, that could really add up. That's another economic benefit also.
Perfect.
And the technology is really very low cost. It's a metal heater that the design itself is an electric circuit. A fair amount of engineering goes into it, but we have been able to.
Okay, shorter answers.
Short answer is yes, there are a lot of benefits.
Is anyone else dying to ask a question? That was a loaded one. So great. Okay. Thank you, Mansoor.
Thank you.
All right. So I realize a little too late that I missed a bunch of slides I was supposed to go through in the beginning. So I'm going to go through them now rapidly. And that's why we were so ahead of schedule. But just talk a little bit about what the Catapult program is. So you saw 5 companies that have been in it for 5 to 10 months so far, and 4 companies that are hopefully going to be going through very shortly. Why do we need an accelerator program in the first place? So very quickly, what's wrong with why did I start this place in the first place? I was in the first year of Founder Institute, first year of Techstars, seeing all these incubator models that are based on a 90-day model, and I'm sorry, but you just can't get very much done in 90 days. founders coming in here, one, maybe two co-founders, sometimes three co-founders, still need a lot of augmentation, still need a lot of support. But the biggest problem is that you get a whole bunch of one-on-one meetings. You get one mentor come in and talk to you, and then the next mentor the next day tells you something completely opposite or completely redundant, but there is no coordination between those mentors. Nobody is sitting there making sure that the founder is learning everything that they need to learn to successfully run a venture scale company. And so it's very happenstance. And in their models, if 3% of the company come through and become unicorns, great. To the other 97% of entrepreneurs, that was their whole life, was that company. But they don't care about it in that way. And when they're out of there 90 days later, they're done. They go to the next accelerator. You get a lot of accelerator hopping happening. And we saw one recently that some of the people in the room are investors in the company that has already done 8 and has just gone into their 9th accelerator, as if the job description of a startup founder is to apply to accelerators and get in, and it just extends the time to actually getting real funding. So we take a different approach with the Catapult. First of all, there's no cohorts. Companies come in when they are ready, and it's a very, very high bar for them to get in. They're typically here for 2 years. So generally speaking, a pre-seed and a seed round, unpriced rounds. If they are doing a priced round, they're probably at that later stage. They won't need us anymore. But while they're doing unpriced rounds, both they and their VCs are working out of their home offices generally. And the VCs that do participate in pre-seed and seed, vast majority of them do not have any resources to really help founders like they say they do on their websites. But we can pull together an army that's putting in hundreds of hours of mentor time into each company to help them get to their goals. We also have partnerships with the angel groups like E8 and Alliance of Angels. We share due diligence very freely with them. We have members here that some of whom are also in our mentor program that are early investors in these deals, and they like getting in earlier than they'll see them at their angel groups just because of how few, only 20 to 30 new companies will pitch at Alliance of Angels every year out of 1,200 some applications. But they can all come here and see earlier stage deals. That's our dual citizenship program, enables that. And one of the cool things we do is what we call conclave. There's that classroom that you saw coming in with 15 seats in there. At the beginning of the program, an initial conclave like you guys went through, 15 mentors sitting in the seats, the founders are at the podium. And that's 3 to 4 hours. About 80% of the time is spent on business model, revenue model. They'll go through their pitch and then they'll go back, turn on digital Post-it notes. Okay, we've been told everything you can imagine about our business model. You should be B2B, you should be B2C, you should charge this way or that way. But they get conflicting advice from mentors, they get conflicting advice from investors, they get conflicting advice from their employees, co-founders, vendors, spouses, you name it. And they typically walk in the building somewhat paralyzed. I don't know what to model and therefore put in my business plan, and therefore know how much to try to raise, because there's so many variables in how I can move the company forward. So what we try to do is curate a team of highly qualified, seasoned entrepreneurs, most of them, these mentors that go help create clarity. What's your first beachhead going to be? Then you're going to spend the next few months figuring out what that means in dev costs and go-to-market strategy, go-to-market costs and staffing, figure out what number to plug in there, but also what's your next round. So as you saw in some of the decks here, right, what's the next round after this one? So figuring out your first beachhead, what are you segmenting out to your following round, what that's going to be. Final conclave is cool. Anybody in the room do final conclave before? Darian, you did it once, right? Reza, you did it. Oh, Richard's here. Okay, you've done final conclave. It's a lot of fun. We tell the founders to put on their Teflon underwear, and then for 2.5 hours, they are assaulted by Academy Award-winning actors who are acting like asshole investors. And so we are galvanizing the entrepreneurs. This is after they've done their pitch coaching, their deck is done, they're ready to go out with a term sheet, and we just want to make sure that they've practiced the answer to every conceivable question they can get, all while enduring noisy cell phones and potato chip bags and getting somebody to run their motorcycle up and down the road and create a lot of distraction, because that's simulating real life. And we want to make sure that they succeed when they're presenting in front of VC teams or angel groups. We just created the pre-Catapult program, as you've been hearing about. We wanted to spend a month in a sprint with these guys over here and getting to know how they operate and them getting to know how we operate, and really just line out if there are any conditions before we would take you into Catapult. What are they? And let's work on getting over those. And I will skip through a lot of stuff here in the interest of time. I apologize for screwing up the schedule, but we do have workshops here all the time. In fact, tomorrow, if there's any founders in the room that are still trying to figure out, do they even have a venture scale business? Every month now we do our workshop on, is my startup venture fundable? Highly recommend that for people to take in all these classes in between. Dana does, where'd she go? Our pitch clinic, our best mentors put on these workshops. They're rotated 3 times a year. I think we only have one super mentor here, or quarterback here today. Darian is the quarterback for Tenley and Bryan's company. Richard's here. Potentially a quarterback very shortly. So what the quarterbacks do is they constantly shuffle in different mentors as they're needed throughout the program, especially after they get their first round of funding, is actually when they need the most mentors. Now you're going to make mistakes with your most expensive money you ever raise, at the lowest valuation you're ever going to raise money at, hopefully, and that's the time when we need even more mentor participation, so we believe in keeping that going all the way through. And they're also constantly socializing the company with investors as they come through as well, so that by the time they're meeting these founders again with an actual term sheet, they know who they are. They have seen them here multiple times, different events, different formats, watch them evolve. It's part of the reason we do the showcase night. If you are in the room here and you're thinking of joining the mentor program, we in particular really like people who have done startups before, but we do take other kinds of specialists as well. The cool thing is, I think they'll tell you that you're working in a unique way with a group of other mentors. It's a lot of fun when you get to work on one company as a team. Is a completely different experience than mentoring at Techstars, where you're going in one-on-one with folks. So that's a big part of why they are involved, while they're interested. Okay, so that is it for any questions on Catapult program in general? If you have questions, you can catch me later. We are, once again, William has been our staunch AV guy for quite some time. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you do? I guess you are now a sponsor. Yes. Yes. Let me get your slide up. There you go. Oh, I had some more slides. Sorry, but go ahead.
No, if you got some more slides, do your slides.
Okay.
You're more important to me. Go ahead.
All right. Just some upcoming events. Sorry about that. Come on back. Here we go. All right. Okay, so Venture Saturday is, so quarterly events. This event is every quarter. Every 6 weeks offset, we have Venture Saturday. It's an all-day event if you've never been. Typically 7 or 8 workshops and panels, and then we have 2 venture competitions. One is a raw concept pitch competition, where they're pitching to startup coaches, and they're just like 3-minute pitches. And then we do an actual venture competition. I would say it's medium stakes competition. It's not like our venture conferences that we do, but they are pitching real VCs and members of the angel groups in town. And that whole day is run by our mentors. All the programs are done by folks in the mentor program, and there's also a mixer at the end of the day for just founders and mentors, kind of a speed dating thing, so please join us on a Saturday. I just mentioned the workshop that we are doing now every month is a couple of hours going over what does venture scale means. Every entrepreneur I meet, first question, so tell me about your business and is it venture scale? Oh yeah, it's absolutely venture scale. Okay, what does venture scale mean? I don't know. They don't actually know. It's a term that's thrown around a lot, but it actually has very specific meanings. And so we go through that at that event. And then afterwards, we break out into separate rooms with mentors and quarterbacks and 2 to 4 founders, and each founder gets 15 minutes to talk about their business, and we all get to opine on how venture scale that really sounds. Maybe there's a pivot in there, potentially. So that's one. And then Founder Monster Meetup Day is coming up on the 25th. It's a whole day of free co-working, and it's a tremendous energy. We just did the first one in August. It was fantastic. And then at 4 o'clock, there's a group lunch, sponsored lunch, and then at 4 o'clock we do our most living room vibe kind of pitch event. It's no decks, just a microphone, open mic. Mansoor did it. Who else did it? Raymond did it, right? It was just 3-minute pitches, and I think we did 15 companies. It was awesome. So we like to give all founders, not just the ones in Catapult, a lot of opportunities to get up and practice their cadence. How do you tune yourself? Somebody just called you and said, "Oh, can you pitch tomorrow? You got 4 minutes, or you got 8 minutes, or you got 22 minutes." And being prepared and understanding your cadence and how to tune to that particular vibe. And then these are the next 5 founder workshops that I mentioned earlier. Our most popular one is Customer Discovery. The executive director of Alliance of Angels, Angie Parker, does that with Catherine Bhattacharya. You should take it, Brent. It's really good. It's really good. You have? Oh, okay, excellent. So this is in the series. There's about 10, and then we just started adding a whole bunch more that are virtual. We really resisted doing virtual, but we're just getting to the point where we need to. So Scale-a-thon, I mentioned. These are the 3 Scale-a-thons coming up. The first one is going to be the AI event. So look for an announcement on that. Get on our mailing list if you haven't. These are all the different ways you can get on our mailing list, or just go to venturemechanics.com, hit join the community. And Danny is running a special for co-working. She can tell you about it if you're interested in co-working here. Buy 2 months, get one free, apparently. Talk to the folks at the front desk about that. And now we're going to switch over to the Investor Social. Investors who want to hang out with the founders at the 4 tables in the Boeing room, please proceed over there. Okay, you're on. And then we are done, and I'm going to go get some food and meet some founders.
So I'll keep it short and sweet. Since we all want some food right now, probably some libations to relax with. My name is William Davis. I'm the owner of APC Photography in partnership with the Elite Collective. Essentially what we do is do visual storytelling for you, event support, and photography and videography to support your business needs and make sure that your story is told the way you want it told. And that's the gist of what we do. As you see, we make sure that these events work good for you and you have a good time. We'll throw some music on, enjoy the food, enjoy the evening, have a great time socializing. And if you have any questions or need some support from us, talk to Danny and she will connect you with me.
Thank you, William. All right, thanks everybody. Let's go get some food and libations, as you put it. All right. And libations.
I do all events. So we do any type you'd like to do. So if you need a social event,